inside of a stone circle in a village called Fire Village, gathered around a bonfire and a large phoenix statue, we see rogue people holding a ritual. Near the center of the circle there are two round rocks, each containing one small turquoise stone with a carving of a phoenix. Out of nowhere, the ritual is interrupted by dozens of barbarian soldiers carrying swords, spears, and shields, killing the ritualists senselessly while they're trying to protect themselves using magic, but without success. The head priest grabs one of the turquoise stones and uses a teleportation spell to get out of the stone circle together with the priestess, not before getting impaled by several spears. Far away from the soldiers, with his dying breath, he entrusts the stone to the priestess. The next morning, the soldiers find the stone, while the priestess, wounded, desperately runs away before collapsing on the ground. The scene changes to a port in a big coastal town, where a group of adventurers arrives. They are prominent members of the Fairy Tale Guild. A happy blonde girl, Lucy, an overzealous pink-haired boy, Natsu, a serious red-haired girl, Urza, a calm gray-haired boy named Gray, and Wendy, a short petite girl with blue hair. Together with them are two flying cat-like creatures, Happy and Charlie. This group's mission is catching a man called Geese, the leader of the Bacchus Bandits. Running up the steep town streets, the group notices the town being unusually empty when they suddenly get surrounded by bandits. While getting chased, everyone is fighting in their own way, Wendy blowing the bandits away by breathing hurricanes out of her mouth, Natsu breathing fire using fire magic, Urza fighting with a sword, and Gray using ice magic, freezing the bandits or making them slip on the ground. Lucy summons her familiar Leo, a tuxedo-clad man who fights off the bandits with raw strength. After defeating all the bandits, they see their target Geese running away. They take chase after him through town until he reaches a dead end, where he flattens himself like a piece of paper and escapes through a crack in the brick wall. Empty-handed, they return to the town of Magnolia, where their guild Fairy Tale is based. On her way home, Lucy encounters the priestess we saw in the beginning. She collapsed on the floor together with a chick-like creature called Mammon, who begs Lucy to help them. In a royal palace called Cream, Duke of the country of Veronica gathers the Carbuncle Guild, hiring them to bring him the second of two artifacts called the Phoenix Stones, one of the stones already in his possession since it was passed down in his family. If he joins the two stones, a miracle will supposedly occur, which is why he wants to do it in front of the people of Veronica and make them think he is amazing. Lucy brings the priestess, who we find out is called Eclair, to her guild and gives her something to eat. After finishing her meal, Eclair attempts to leave by herself, but Lucy and the others manage to convince her to let them help her find the boundary forest where she wants to go. Their first stop is a town populated by people wearing turbans and using flying carpets as transportation. They eat there, buy equipment, visit an amusement park, and finally settle down in a hotel. That night, at the hotel, Lucy and Eclair are attacked in their room by a creepy masked person throwing daggers at them. Escaping to the streets with the assassin running after them, they are saved by Natsu and Gray, who start fighting him, but the assassin quickly melts into the shadows and escapes. Back in the hotel room, Eclair tells everyone she doesn't remember anything about her past, except knowing she has to go to the boundary forest and give her Phoenix Stone to a sorcerer named Callard. The following day, after traveling through a lush forest and fighting off gigantic monsters on the way, the Fairy Tale group reaches an ancient ruin of a house Eclair immediately recognizes. Descending into the basement, she finds a drawing of her as a child and accidentally activates a crystal ball that reproduces a hologram-like recording of Callard, an old sorcerer. It turns out Callard is Eclair's dad, and in the recorded message intended for her, he tells her about a spell he created to dispel the Phoenix Stone's magic. Eclair, motivated by her father's message, asks the Fairy Tale group to help her dispel the Phoenix Stones, to which they immediately agree. Returning to the Fairy Tale headquarters, Eclair remembers the Phoenix Stones were used to seal a dangerous creature called the Phoenix. She also remembers one of the two stones was stolen when soldiers from Veronica attacked Fire Village. At that instant, cannonballs fly through the guild room, announcing the arrival of 3 Carbuncle Guild members. Dist, an ominous turquoise-haired man who has the power of telekinesis, a large burly man called Cannon and Coordinator, a blonde, arrogant woman who uses various blades to fight. An all-out fight ensues, but Carbuncle completely dominates Fairy Tale's members and manages to kidnap Eclair. The guild now in ruins, Fairy Tale's guild master, a small old man named Makarov, appears together with guild members Gadgel, Red Fox, and Panther Lily. They have found out that Duke Cream plans to join the two stones together and summon the Phoenix at Veronica's 400th anniversary the next day, believing that doing this will give him eternal life. In order to prevent the summoning of the Phoenix, who is immensely powerful and dangerous, Fairy Tale must retrieve and dispel at least one of the two stones. Urza puts together an elite team to retrieve the stones. In a town in Veronica, a huge celebration is held with drums being played and soldiers marching in a procession, hundreds of people watching them. While the Fairy Tale group reach the outskirts of the town in a secret chamber, Duke Cream prepares to join the Phoenix Stones. While being led by soldiers to the city square, Eclair, seeing a phoenix statue, realizes the town was built where Fire Village stood before and that now she is standing in the exact same place where the stone circle and ceremonial ground once were. Above the square on the balcony of a castle, Cream emerges with the stones while the citizens rejoice beneath him. At the same time, outside of town, Gray storms the town gate, destroying it with an ice blast, the rest of the group following him inside and splitting up. Shortly, each member of Fairy Tale is stopped by a member of Carbuncle. In an alley, Natsu faces off against Dist. Coordinator, now wearing a suit of magnificent golden armor and carrying a golden scythe, intercepts Urza. As those two clash on the roof of a building, Wendy and Panther Lily, now transformed into a large panther man, face the royal army of Veronica, holding them off so Lucy can advance towards Eclair. Crashing through a theater while fighting, Urza manages to catch Coordinator off guard, bringing her to her knees with one move. Fighting against Cannon, Juvia and Gray join forces and create an ice slide on which Gray jumps and starts sliding towards Cannon. While sliding, he conjures an ice sword, blocking incoming cannon blasts with it, before finally reaching Cannon and trapping him in a mass of ice. In the sewers, Gadgel tries hitting Chase with his arms turned into iron, but the assassin easily avoids the attacks, but Gadgel turns his arms into massive swords and simply cuts along the entire length of the wall, hitting and defeating Chase. Natsu comes to his senses and the winged Happy carrying him through the air heads towards Lucy. At the town square, Cream, having Eclair tied to a stake in the middle of the square, orders a fire lit under her as he joins the two Phoenix Stones into one. When he sees this, Mammon flies towards Eclair desperately, undoing her bonds but burning away in the fire. As the Phoenix Stone is activated, Dist betrays Cream and flings him away with telekinesis, intending to take eternal life for himself. The Phoenix Stones merge and expand, forming the Phoenix, a gigantic mechanical bird who immediately starts rampaging around the town, destroying buildings and firing an energy blast so powerful it destroys an entire mountain in the distance. As the citizens are trying to run away in a panic, Lucy finds Eclair, who managed to free herself. Natsu tells them to run away to safety while he flies towards Dist, who climbed up on the Phoenix in order to retrieve the Phoenix's blood, which grants eternal life. Hearing Dist complaining, Eclair explains the blood he seeks is actually the Phoenix's tears and they only flow when the Phoenix is sealed. Taking a break in an alley, Eclair remembers what happened on the night the Fire Village was destroyed. She was given the Phoenix's tears by the head priest so she could live eternally in order to dispel or destroy the Phoenix Stones in the future. But not being able to remember anything, she has been wandering aimlessly for 400 years. Eclair concludes that eternal life is nothing but suffering and considers giving up, but Lucy hugs her, telling her she would never leave a friend behind and making her remember what it feels like to be happy. While running away from the Phoenix, Eclair and Lucy almost fall down a crater, but Geese, the same man who Fairy Tale needed to catch for a job, suddenly appears and saves them, before running away himself. After regrouping, the Fairy Tale group attempts to fight the Phoenix, but even when the other members of Fairy Tale appear, their combined attacks have no effect. Natsu focuses on Dist, managing to grab him, finally hit him, and after a struggle, finishing him off with a flaming uppercut. Suddenly, the Phoenix starts gathering magic power from all living things around it and channeling it into a gigantic ball of energy, Eclair explaining it wants to destroy the entire world, including itself, so it can achieve a true revival. Makarov appears in front of Lucy and Eclair, telling them the Phoenix can be destroyed forever by the Arrow of Evil's destruction. That arrow was made by Callard, who entrusted it to the Magic Council in the past, where Makarov stole it from. Since those who have consumed the Phoenix's blood also disappear when the Phoenix dies, Eclair will also have to die. Lucy is upset, but Eclair accepts her fate, saying she has lived long enough and how she will never forget Lucy or Fairy Tale. Makarov gives a signal and Urza fires the arrow into the Phoenix, who starts crumbling, but manages to fire off the gigantic ball of energy which is now threatening to destroy the world. Seeing this, Natsu struggles to drive the arrow deeper into the Phoenix's body, finally succeeding, making the energy disappear, and the Phoenix finally keel over. With the crisis over, Natsu rejoins a crying Lucy, comforting her and telling her Eclair was smiling to the very end. As the sun comes out, the town's soldiers are removing the rubble and rescuing the citizens, while the surviving members of Carbuncle wake up. The scene changes to Fairy Tale's headquarters, where everyone is helping rebuild it and everything seems to be getting back to normal. Later, walking through the town of Magnolia, Lucy seems to notice a child looking like Eclair and smiling at her. Hey! Thank you for staying all the way till the end. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. It takes only a second, but it means everything to us. Have a great day and see you in the next video.